Okay, and good afternoon everyone. My name is Phil Wilmot.
There's better for anyone who sees this video. Would you use microphone?
Is it portable? Can I move it around? Okay, so I've got to stand here. Okay, so I'll start again. Okay, so again, good afternoon everyone. My name is Phil Wilmot, and I'm your hostess today. I've got my co-host Morel and a few others joining the team to help us make it a good day for you all. So the plan really is for me to shortly introduce the background behind Utopia Global, and then basically I'm going to talk a bit about a testimonial to Ryan and Randall, and then do their piece run store, and then we'll finish the day with Claudia, who will do some testimonials, and there will be a chance later on to have these guys put back, do a professional testimonial and capture that to share later through our social media networks. So, obviously I don't want to talk too long because it might sound a bit boring, so I'm just going to crash through that and hope that goes well, basically. So, my background is financial services, traditional boring stuff like life and pensions. My first day at the office was the 10th of August 1980. This is an awful long time ago. Now, I walked into that office and it was very old-fashioned. So, for example, today we're going to talk about technology and how it's really changed over the last 20, 30 years, leading to things like blockchain. And what we found really, I walked in that office and we had mainframe computers, we had typewriters, it was on paper, I had an A4 pad, I'd write the letter, it would go into the typing pool, it would come out and go out on the post. And in those days, really, a job was for life. You didn't get sacked, not easily, anyway. So I found, initially, I was stuck in a job going nowhere. And then we had, with the pensions boom, the pensions in the UK were deregulated, and that made a lot more business in the company. I moved into that business channel, and that's how I got promoted. I then was seconded to a project in the late 90s, early 2000s for 6 weeks. Okay? And this was actually the same pensions we've been selling for the last 5 or 10 years. The regulators at that time realised we had all these complaints coming in saying, you've missold these pensions. So I spent 7 years after that 6 weeks secondment on that project. And that led me to 2003, and that's when I took voluntary redundancy. The key thing to take from this really wasn't that corporate bubble. I had a great job, great salary, great benefits. But I got to the point where I outgrew the business and wanted to move on. So I travelling for 2 years. And then I came back and I thought, what should I do next? So I bought a franchise, a property franchise. And this was around 2006-07. And you all know what happened in 2007-08. So it's great timing to run a business like that. So when I went into that, I had no sales experience. I knew nothing about property apart from my own one. All I did was stick them on Rightmove, and I get inquiries. The difficulty was the instructions closing the customers that came with me. I was a new person on the block. Okay, I had a good rate of 0.5%, much cheaper than the competition, but they didn't trust me. How am I going to sell their house for them? So what was happening is I'd go to a house, value it, look at my price, using Rightmove, etc., and then all the competition would add on 10 grand just to get the business. So I'd lose every single time. So in the end, I had to take drastic action. So what I did, so look, most estate agents will give you like a 6 to 10 week contract. And they use that time to persuade you to come down to a price where they can sell it, the price I gave you. So what I did was, I gave them a no contract. So give me 2 weeks. If I haven't sold it, you can move on to the other agents. And that's how I got my business, because I just sold houses, because they were selling like tea cakes, really easy. But of course, what happened in September 07 was that the market crashed. It started with, that's the one, thank you for reminding me. So they closed their doors, and the following year in 2008 were nationalised. And of course, the banks stopped lending to each other because they didn't trust each other. So my business dried up because it's dependent on high turnover and low fees. So when the market dried up, I had to go and find a job. So I'm back into risk and compliance. It was a good job and good people, but unfortunately, we're in a downturn, and what happened was I got laid off after about 13 months. was a good pay package. My son was 6 months old. I had no money coming in, and the cash doesn't last that long. So I went and did a company called Clean Easy. I was desperate, basically. I had to find some money. I couldn't get a job. So I did Clean Easy. I loved it. I got really fit, lost weight. This guy knows because he's been in Clean Easy, didn't he? Yeah. But the point is, I didn't have a plan B, and Clean Easy happened to be that plan B until I found something better to do. And that's really how I found myself online. And, you know, when you start a journey like that, it's quite tough to find a legitimate business that you can make money from, that will give you a full-time income, or at least a part-time income. And I guess, like many people, my early experience online was very poor. It was really a series of humbling experiences. I lost money, okay? If you can roll forward now to 2016, it's pretty much 3 years to the day that I've been in the business. And it's probably the first time ever I've seen consistent income over those 3 years. Before it was very patchy. And the reason I joined this business really was because it had precious metals. That's where it started. Physical products I could see and touch. And that's how I started out. Now, obviously, we've seen the company change and expand since then until today we're seeing the brand Utopia Global. We have a great partnership in store and Ryan Messman's team. So really, for me, this is a blinding opportunity. It does take some time to understand it and take it in and be able to understand how you might then expect other people. So today we're here really to help you learn a bit more, get educated, and really education is the massive piece I've got. Because when I came in 2016, I knew nothing about how money worked, I knew nothing about gold and silver, I knew nothing about how the banks worked. And those of you who follow me on social media will see that I do a lot of research and I try and share what I can. So I'm totally absorbed in the subject matter. But today really is about hearing from these visitors today to find out what they've got to say and how they can show you a way to increase your wealth and your cash flow using real assets. Now, I think before, in fact, what I'll do, we'll hand over to Bill now. I'll ask Bill to come up and do his introduction to the company and give us history and background, and then we'll swap to a testimonial before we move to Ryan and Random. Okay?
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for sharing your story with us. Well, it's great to be here, and thanks to everyone coming out this Saturday afternoon to join us here to learn more about Utopian Global and Store. Now, who's here for the first time? Thank you for the trust. You're probably dragged here by some people. You had no choice, huh? Anyway, thank you for coming. Before I get into it, let me give you a bit of a history about myself. One thing I've learned about business is people. And you have success or you lose money, it's not about the company behind it, it's the people behind the company, correct? Bill spoke about his experiences, ups and downs. Well, that's part of life, isn't it? Now, you see me here standing with a 9-kilo bar of pure gold in the Oval Horizon refinery, but my life didn't start off that way. I'll just give you a bit of a summary about myself. I was born in Melbourne, Australia, raised on a dairy farm, one of 8 children. So I was brought up with pretty strong principles, hard day's work for a fair day's pay. But in today's reality, we know that that doesn't really get you ahead. We need to work smart as well. We need to leverage our income. We need to compound our returns. But we also need to be able to manage risk. So these are the things that I've learnt over many, many, many years. And during that 30, 40, actually 35-year period, I've made many mistakes. But here I am today, sharing part of my journey with you, because we're all here for a common purpose. Who wants to live a better life? You didn't put the hand up. Who wants to have more income? Who wants to have more time in their life? Even healthcare. Healthcare is really dependent upon the income levels that you have today. Correct? So here, you know that. It's a personal experience, isn't it? You don't have private health cover and those types of things. It's challenging to get the right care in today's world. So I've been in business since 1986. In fact, myself and my brother, we bought our first hotel in Australia. In over 20 years, we owned 4 hotels. I actually played football for the local team in my first hotel. In the first year, we doubled the turnover. By the end of the second year, I sold my hotel to my younger brother. That's why it's good to have a big family. In 2004, I sold my last hotel, but also been involved in other industries as well. In 1991, I was introduced to the world of multi-level marketing, or network marketing. Who's familiar with those terms? And I must say, when I was introduced to this industry, I just loved the concept that you could leverage your time. When you leverage your time, you compound your wealth. And to me, it was a no-brainer. Because I've been brought up to work hard. My father was a farmer and a motor mechanic up until the late 1970s when he passed away. If I think about him, he was head down, bottom up, working to provide for a large family. He would milk 60, 70 cows in the morning, go and be a motor mechanic for a full day, come back and be a farmer at night. And that was his life. And we had everything that we needed. We didn't want for anything. It was a simple life, but we had everything. It was a great life, actually, with great values. But in today's world, it's very demanding, isn't it? To have a good education, it costs money. You know, travel, just the basic necessities cost money, doesn't it? So I realised I wanted to live a different life. I had to do things differently from what I was taught. I was also introduced to precious metals, gold and silver. Now, as I just said, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I came to realise this stuff, gold, is real money. In fact, when you learn and understand that the financial system that we look under is designed to transfer wealth away from you back to the central banking system, then you've got to start thinking outside the box. And this is what I really learnt. And one of the major turning points in my business career was learning that, actually. Also got introduced to investments in energy with Ryan Messer. I've known Ryan Messer for 15, 16 years. A great friend, love working with him. So our partnership goes back a long time, which I'm really honoured to be able to share that with him. Welcome, gentlemen. Digital currencies, living in a changing world. Cryptocurrencies. I mean, Bill spoke about cycles. Well, I can go back to the dot-com boom. Who remembers the internet boom of the 1990s? Who invested in it? Who did well in it? You know, I did okay, but probably the money I put in there, I actually, when the market turned, because I wasn't positioned correctly, I lost a lot as well. And probably many people experienced that during the crypto cycle as well. Yet the cycle's coming back now back into the favour of crypto, isn't it? But anyway, we're living in a changing world. But one thing I've realised throughout my over 30 years of business, in a world that is so digital, we need to have tangible wealth, real tangible wealth. You know, in the 1990s, during the dot-com boom, they were promoting these internet stocks here and there, and I was buying them because my broker said, you can buy this at 5 cents, Bill, it's going to go to $1, and my Greek said, yeah, let's put some money in there. And in a strong bullish market, actually any fool can make money if it's trending in your direction. But when the market changes, you get caught out big time. Okay? And I think many people experience that during the crypto cycle as well. But most of the thousands of tokens that are on the blockchain today are backed by what? Nothing. Air. And until the market turns, that's not really, you don't become aware of that. You know? So this was a learning experience through different cycles that I had to learn myself. There's no question we're living in a changing world. I mean, the stark financial and environmental reality. I mean, the sustainability, the management of resources around the world, how we recycle garbage and dispose of garbage. The financial system, we feel it today, don't we? We're living in a changing world. And I think most people feel that we're in a pivoting point in the world right now. Yeah, we're actually Claudia was there as well. We recently came back from Nairobi, Kenya, you know. And when you travel the world, you start to see the separation between wealth. I mean, you can be in the Western world and you still see a separation between the middle class is shrinking, would you agree? Okay? But when you go to developing countries, the contrast is even greater. There's no real middle class. You either have a very small percentage of wealth, and then you have people who have nothing. And to be able to help people, you've got to have some yourself, don't you? So we're all here for the purpose of creating wealth. The more money that you can make, the more that you can do. Because it's not really about the money, it's what you can do with it. Okay? We don't really need a lot to live on. But if you're debt-free, you own the property that you live in, you have enough cash flow to be able to put your children through a good education, good healthcare and different things, and take different trips and things like that, you can also help other communities, can't you? Your church group or your schools, etc. In fact, while we're in Kenya, we're sitting in a nice 5-star hotel. You know, and I look out the window and across the road, I see this young man by his elbows crawling across the pavement, broken, paralysed from here down. Hard. You think, wow, isn't life hard for these people? Here we are sitting, drinking my double, espresso, nice 5-star hotel. The contrast outside the window was completely different. It really sets you back to what life's about, isn't it? I'm getting shivers up my spine talking about it. And I pointed out to Claire, have a look out there. She couldn't emotionally handle it. She started crying. I mean, it's a big thing. In fact, she went out and helped the person a bit, Some cars stopped, handed out some food to the person. But this is the purpose why I think we're all here. Not just to be able to lace our own pockets, that we can also share the knowledge, the wisdom, and wealth of other people as well. The declining global purchasing power, the rising government debt. Well, the world is totally in debt today, isn't it? We live on a debt system, actually. The paper currencies we have today is based on debt. That is it. Now, here I have many different currencies. I have US dollars, I have Nigerian naira, I have Kenyan US dollars. It's just paper, backed by nothing. And the real truth about this paper, even the pounds, for example, let me ask you, 20 pounds today, what do you expect? Is it losing its buying power the longer you hold it, or is it buying more products and services for you? So the cost of living is going up, correct? Well, the general rule is less than every 10 years, this paper stuff, you're going to have to double that just to have the same amount of purchasing power that you have today. Which means all of us, be included, we have to double our income every 5, 6, 7 years just to keep up with inflation. Because inflation's designed to strip wealth away from all of you back to the system. It's unjust. It's done by design. And when you realise that, you realise, okay, I need multiple streams of income. Really important. And you need to also diversify your paper wealth into real tangible assets. And that's why we're here with Brian and with Randall as well. We really do live in a consumption society, don't we? And the expansion of the world population, they expect it's going to increase over the next, I don't know, maybe 25 years. I must say, 25 years goes like that. If I think back, okay, I'm 61 this year, but if I think back the last 25 years, I mean, it's just flown. So 2040, 2050, we might think about sitting here now, it seems too far away. Believe you me, it comes around very fast. We're going to have a population of 2 billion people more. And they're all going to be able to flick a switch and have light power. They want to be able to drive their autonomous motor cars, which is powered by renewable energy in one sense. Everybody needs energy. With all these problems, also brings great solutions and possibilities for wealth creation. And that's why we're here with the store team. So what if you could counter grim financial realities and address environmental damage and the energy crisis while you're also boosting your income? I mean, there's great opportunity. With every problem, with every crisis, there's a great opportunity. And historically, in my business career, when I took over hotels in Australia, I took over 4, they were run down, some of them were bankrupt, and I would go to auctions and people were talking very negative about these places. But they talked about the doom and gloom of this place. All I could see was the upside, the possibilities, the opportunity. It was a lot of work, a bit of risk involved there as well. But you know what? That's where it is, the wealth creation. And this is what we have here with the store team. The Utopian Global ecosystem, it is an ecosystem because we offer you many things. We offer you real assets. It's important to have real assets, especially income-generating assets. So we offer you a better way to counter today's financial pressures and environmental crisis. You can grow your income, secure your assets, and face the future with confidence. Now, it's not a quick rich program. It takes time. to understand what we have here. But I can assure you, the vehicle that we have changes lives. Now, we have people earning thousands of euros around the world, but it's not always about the big money. We can help someone here earn an extra 500 quid a month. Is it helping you? In Kenya, in Kampala, Uganda, we had someone drive down on a bus 14 hours just to visit us. He took his 99 euros that he had to pay the house rent, and he had a feeling about it. But he followed his gut feeling, he invested in Utopian Global, he understood what power we have here, he shared it with other people, and he turned that 99 euros into 3,000 euros by working the program that we have, by earning real assets. Every time you buy a package of Utopian Global, you're earning real, tangible assets. And Store Randall will speak about this. You know, it's life-changing. So if we can help people earn an extra 200, 300, 400, 500, 3,000, 5,000 euros per month, we're changing lives. That's our mission. It's always been our mission. In fact, I founded the Swiss company, which still exists today, back in 2008. So I'm not up here just saying we just did this, we're new. We've been doing this a long time. And I'll touch on that shortly. So the Utopian Global ecosystem, as I've already said, it's real assets, real income. We do this by, you can earn accumulating income by producing energy assets via store. I mean, store is just it's a strong, it's new, but it's forward-thinking, it's futuristic, it's real. When you invest in store, you're not just investing in an idea, a concept, it's real, tangible assets that produce income. You can safeguard your wealth by earning in precious metals, gold and silver. Ooh, paper doesn't make that sound, does it? That's gold, but we'll come back to that in a second. You can grow and reach and boost your income. What I mean by this is you can compound your wealth. Now, the people who understand the power of leverage or network marketing, you'll understand this, just like Eddie did from Uganda. He invested his 99 euros, shared it with some people, he turned that 99 euros into 3,000 euros. By these people buying real assets. He shared the concept with these people where they could actually earn another income and earn real assets by owning store. And the wealth strategies and business ownership. In fact, Claudia Eifert will be coming up later and speaking about that. Who's familiar with this here from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad? Okay. Well, I first met Robert in 1998 in Melbourne, Australia. In fact, he was launching, might have been 97 or 98, something like that. But he was launching his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And my younger brother Julian said, there's this guy from the States come over and he's got this concept, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think we should go and see it. It cost us $50 to go and listen to his book launch. I said, let's go. So we went there. There was 1,200 people in the room. And he presented his story of Rich Dad's information versus his own dad's information. His own dad was a professor, an educator in a university who played it really safe and conservative. It was a wage earner, which is nothing wrong with that. But the challenge was he never really got ahead of the game in life. Whereas Rich Dad was a business entrepreneur on this side. Now on this side, when you're on this side, as a job, and again, there's nothing wrong with having a job, okay? But by itself, you're really limiting yourself on the ability to be able to compound your wealth. You're trading time for money. In fact, what's the average income rate here? £10 an hour? Wouldn't be much more, I wouldn't think. So £10 an hour, to give you a bit of an idea, 40 to 50 hours a week. In fact, you're going to work probably 40 years, correct? You're going to work the normal thing, 40 to 50 hours a week over 40 years. That equates to, let's say it's 100,000 hours. 50 hours a week is about 100,000 hours over your lifetime of working. Now, at £10 an hour, that's £1 million. Now, £1 million over 40 years. And you haven't even paid the taxman. He's going to take what percentages of it here? Half? 25. But then you pay another 20.
It's 40%.
Then you pay another 20% when you buy goods and services. So, I mean, really, how can you live a good financially free life of earning that type of £1 million if I gave it to you now? John would probably do some magic for you. But over 40 years, and you've got to take out those taxes and pay all the expenses of living, your mortgage, your rent, food, clothing, maybe a trip there, a holiday. It's a trap. It keeps you there. So again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a nurse or a teacher, a motor mechanic, Uber driver, it doesn't really matter. You're providing great service to the communities. But if you want to be financially free, you need to do multiple things. You need to have other sources of income coming in. This is what I learned. I learned you've got to make money when you're sleeping. When I put the head down at night, I want to wake up wealthier. Most people wake up poorer because money's coming out of their account to pay bills and things like that. But by building an organisation, moving on this side, you pick up the tax benefits that business owners do, the wealthy actually utilise, and you can leverage your income. But Claudia will actually talk about that. But the whole concept of Robert Kiyosaki, at the end of his presentation, he said, tomorrow morning, I'm going to put on my capitalist hat. I'm going to teach people how to take a private company public. It's high risk. It may take 5 years. Don't put any money in you you can't afford to lose. And the minimum investment is about 25,000 US. Wasn't about it exactly, it was 25,000 US. I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to be there in the morning. Now, 1,200 people in the room the night before. I better get there early because the room's going to be full. This guy just spoke about wealth creation. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. He presented Rich Dad, Poor Dad. All the people are there to learn about wealth creation. So I thought the next morning, the room's going to be bursting. Out of 1,200 people, 9 people showed up. Just look around, look at the numbers. Everybody in the UK, around the world, wants to have more wealth. But not everybody is willing to take the sacrifice and pay the price to be able to get it. So even if I didn't have the money to be able to invest in Robert Kiyosaki, I was going to go there and suck out his brain, if I could say that. I wanted his knowledge for free. I wasn't forced to invest, but I was going to be there just to learn what he had. In the end, I invested in 2 of his companies. One of them completely failed. I won't swear, I was pretty peeved. The second one, my children still own that stock today, which is great, you know. But he was up front, he said it's high risk, it's this, that, it's also going to be high return. But building real wealth takes time. But we've developed Utopian Global and with Store, where no one has to put themselves in financial risk. You can get engaged with us, as you'll learn later, very, very small amount, and you're going to own real assets in the United States. That's where our assets are right now. So everyone has the ability to benefit, just like Eddie does from Kampala in Uganda. Precious metals, thinking outside the bank, a smart way to save. Now, why gold? We go on here. Well, growing up in a dairy farm, and then of course owning my own businesses, hotels, I dealt with a lot of cash flow. But you know what, it wasn't until 2003, when I was at the Grant Thornton Accountants Office in Zurich, where I met a good friend, Philip Judge. In fact, Philip is the author of this book. Some of you know him. He's certainly best friends of Ryan. Ryan just spent nearly a week down in Ecuador with Philip vetting out some new projects. But he wrote this book, Stories from the Desk of a Brilliant Banker. Very smart man. He produced movies, a movie documentary where he won a gold prize of a US Film Festival back in the 1990s called Millennium Money. And everything that he wrote about in those days has pretty much come true today, the way we live with the financial system. Well, when I was in Zurich back in those days, he asked me about money. What's money? And I thought, of all the brokers and financial advisors I'd actually dealt with over the many years, no one had ever asked me, what's money? I was a bit dumbfounded and stumbling for words, actually. He caught me off guard, and I said, well, Philip, it's a medium of exchange. I mean, I own hotels, I provide products and services, people pay me in a currency. He said, okay, it's a medium of exchange, what else should it be? And it has to be a unit of exchange, you know. And I was a bit stuck. He said, what about a store of value? Should money have a store of value? And I really didn't grasp what he was talking about. Now, you might look at me and think, here's a guy running this company here, he's been in business over 30 years and didn't know what a store of value was. I was not brought up to understand the monetary system. The system doesn't teach us about money. It just tells us that you should trade your time for money and put that money in a bank, where you're getting pretty crappy interest rates and the inflation rate's even higher. Correct? You're going backwards. Okay? And what he said to me, he said, you can go back to Roman times. An ounce of gold would actually clothe a person. You would buy a toga and a pair of leather sandals. And I thought, okay, it didn't really mean much to me, that particular point. Then he said 100 years ago, the same deal. 1 ounce of gold, 100 years ago, in the 1920s, would actually clothe a person, a three-piece suit, shirt, tie, and a pair of leather shoes. And he said, so would $20 US. Because in those days, 1 ounce of gold had a fixing of $20.67. So you could go, just imagine, you could go to any department store here in London, back in the 1920s, and with £20 or $20 US, you could buy a beautiful outfit. Could you do that today at 20? In Zurich, this buys about 3 cappuccinos and no change. And in fact, Philip said to me, he said, here we are now. What can you do with this $20 today, Bill? I said, Philip, we just came from downtown Zurich having some coffee and cake, and this pretty much cost $20 nothing. Then he pulled out some gold and said, but what about an ounce of this? And it was a big aha moment for me. Because up until that point, I'd always been focused on business of getting money, accumulating as much as possible, but I had no concept of wealth preservation. And this was really a game changer for me, really a game changer. And of course, this is the point where I understood gold. And of course, with the Utopian Global Platform, we give the ability to all people to be able to diversify. In fact, Philip said to me, he said, we as a company only invest in products from the earth, meaning that it's real, meaning that it's tangible, it's resources. The world needs resources to live from, correct? And it has value. So we've created a platform here, an ecosystem here that allows anyone from anywhere in the world where you can save, you can convert this paper stuff, from as little as 25 euros per month into a gold or silver purchase program. Saving a real one. It's highly liquid. It's all produced at the Arbor Horizon refinery in Switzerland, where that photo was for me earlier on that you saw. It's certified to the highest purity by a London Bullion Market Association certified as SAYA, also to the weight. This one here is 100 grams. I mean, I just love this. It's 100 grams of pure gold. About 4,000 US. And if I gave you 4,000 US today, John, you'd be a very happy man. Let's say you put that under your bed and you put this under the bed as well. In 10 years from now, that 4,000, you're going to need about $8,000 to $10,000 or pounds to buy the same amount of goods and services then as you would need today. But this here is wealth preservation. It's a transfer of wealth, perfect for the transfer of wealth to the next generation. And Philip said to me, he said, throughout history, rulers of empires, royalty, and the financial elite have always put part of their wealth. In fact, then he said it's only about maybe 3% to 5% of their paper wealth into physical gold. Today, we see China, we see Russia, we see Turkey, we see many other central banks around the world hoarding gold. Now, these are the same central banks that issue this paper stuff, give it to you, want us to believe in it, but behind the scenes, quietly, securely, they're buying up gold. Especially China, mega, especially Russia, you know. They understand that no longer they hold on to paper currency, the wealth's transferring out of their pockets. Gold's wealth preservation. So as a Utopian Global member, you get this as part of the ecosystem as well. Now you might ask them, okay, I've got some gold, maybe I need to liquidate. Well, as an affiliate member of Utopian Global, it's easy to sell back. You just log into your back office, you want to buy it, you want to sell it, you put it down, I want to sell so many grams or so many ounces. At the next London Bullion Market Trading Day, you can actually sell whatever you want. Within generally 24 hours, the money's back in your e-wallet, and from your e-wallet you can decide, okay, I want to take that out of my e-wallet, back to my bank account or to my Bitcoin account. Or you can diversify that into store, an income generating asset. You know, it's a very, very flexible platform. So to touch on something else I forgot. Oh yes, I was going to show you my I'm a licensed gold trader as well. Long way from a dairy farm, isn't it? So I'm a resident in the UAE. Dubai, I have my residency there. So I run a company that's at the Dubai Multi-Commodity Centre. This is my license here. It says Dubai Multi-Commodity Centre Employment Card. So I'm licensed to be able to trade and store gold. All the precious metals are stored at Dubai at Loomis International or in Zurich. And we have people taking delivery around the world of our physical precious metals that we have here. One of the products, now Claudia, she likes to brag and show hers off a little bit when she comes up. This is a great gift. This is pure gold. It's 5 grams if it's a heart. So the girls, you can wear it here. Guys, you can also wear it there if you like. But it's pure, it's certified to the highest purity, and it's 5 grams, and it's got a kilogram on the back. So maybe Claudia will share hers a little bit later on. Let's talk about Ryan Messer, my good friend and business partner. So how did I meet him? Well, I mentioned the story of Philip Judge back in 2003 in Zurich, and he introduced me to the world of gold. But Philip had also started up an Anglo Energy Fund, and I just sold my last hotel and had a bit of money I wanted to invest. Not all of it, but part of it I wanted to divest. I realised that I needed to have the money working for me, because money left in the bank is going backwards. So I wanted to sow it into some assets to grow it more. And Philip had an energy fund returning 18 to 20% per year. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty awesome return. And I liked what he had, but before I invested, I'd like to know who I'm investing with. So I jumped on a plane and I flew into Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I met Ryan Messer. I met Jay Stewart, the geologist, and Philip Judge and Simon Reeves and many of the other engineers that were engaged in that particular project. And from meeting the team, which Ryan will touch on later, I invested $1 million Australian dollars in that project. Now, this is back in 2004. 1 million Australian at that time is around 860,000 US. So it was a lot of money. It was a big leap forward to do that. So I had to make sure I did do my due diligence. Now, everyone here should do your due diligence as well regarding Utopian Global. Don't buy stuff if you don't understand what you're buying. Be responsible. Read the white paper. Learn about Utopian Global. Check out about Bill. Is it a real deal? Is he false? Is he a scammer? Do your history. If it feels right, do it. But no one in this room has to put yourselves at risk. We have a package for everyone. You can get started for 99 euros. And you own real assets. You own an international business. And then it's 50 euros a month. And each time you buy your membership, you're earning more assets in store. An income generating token, which Ryan will touch on into the future. So the business relationship goes back a long time. And what happened was, as many people know in this room, we're engaged with crypto mining as well. It was fantastic. 2016, 2017, 2018, the whole crypto market turned. And of course, the cost of mining exceeded the daily payouts. But Ryan and I were going to partner up with Genesis Mining, and we were actually going to be doing our own mining farm in America. But in 2018, when the music stopped playing, and this was a $30 million project, we decided to actually, of course, not do that. Genesis Mining didn't want to do it any further, nor did we, because we didn't know where it was going. This is a new sector. So we didn't know where it was going to be in 12 months to 2 or 3 years, whether it's still going to be sustainable. Of course, now we look at Bitcoin price, we know it's back in the money, isn't it? But for a long time, it was not. But from what we learned at that particular time, Ryan and I got talking, and we've learned a lot by being involved in it, about the blockchain. Up until that point, I never believed in Bitcoin. I think Claudia mentioned to me in 2015 about Bitcoin, about cryptocurrencies. I said, don't tell me about that crap. I can't touch it, I can't see it. I think it's a scam. Then one day in Zurich, on the TV, before they went to the financial news, they brought up a slide. The gold price, the oil price, Bitcoin. And when I saw them comparing Bitcoin price alongside commodities such as gold and oil, I thought, wow, this is the real deal. And that was the change which led me into moving into the other sector. And so we got talking about it, of course, and we just said, why don't we take the knowledge that we have about the blockchain, use real assets. I invested a significant amount of money back in the early 2000s. Why don't we do the same thing? Take those real assets and put them on the blockchain and make them available for all people around the world, regardless of who they are, where they are, and what financial standing they are. And the projects that Ryan has access to, he'll touch on that with Randall, is that these projects never come available to the people. So the purpose for us is to be able to get the same products that the wealthy have and make them available for all people around the world. Okay? So with that, I want to thank everyone for being here. That's a bit of a summary from myself. And I believe we'll be bringing up Bill again. Is that right?
Correct.
But thank you, and we'll be around afterwards to answer some questions after the presentation of Ryan, etc. Is that right, Bill?
Right. I just want to touch on something that Bill said about gold and silver. See, this is a leaflet that dropped on my doormat last week. Just wanted gold or silver. This is my local village hall. And the last time I saw one of these was back in 2008. And there's no connection at all between that. Okay? So I just want to mention that because there's a reason they're wanting gold and silver right now, because the price is going up.
Think it over, Bill. Let's just take a few seconds to talk about this. When people are wanting something, when people are wanting something, it means it's got value, isn't it? That's the time to be the contrarian. That's the time to do the complete opposite. Hold on to it. Okay? And of course, when you go into these places and buy gold and silver, how do you know that it's real gold? Is there something as counterfeit gold? You better believe it. Tungsten steel is the only other element that has the same exact weight as gold. And we know historically, even over the last few years, especially during the gold bull run up until 2011, in Dubai they had a $250 million consignment come in, what they call a London Good Delivery Bar. Now, London Good Delivery Bar is 400 ounces, 400 troy ounces, which is about 12.5 kilograms. It's 99.4 pure or above. Had the stamps and seals on it. And what they did was, they had a feeling about these stamps, they didn't really recognize them and the codes on them. So they got a drill bit and they drilled through it. So the gold on the outside looked really nice, but then they hit tungsten steel. Now, tungsten steel is probably, I don't know, $100 a ton. Gold's probably $40 million a ton. So there's a significant difference there. So through our process, like this gold that I showed before, our company doesn't get to play with your gold. When you order gold from us, it goes through the process. I order it, of course. It's ordered at Argor Horias. It's shipped to a London Bullion Market facility called Loomis International, which is also London Bullion Market approved. And when you want it delivered, it's taken from there, FedEx fully insured directly to your house. We don't put our hands on it at all. So you know that every piece of gold that you get is certified to the highest purity. So I just thought I'd touch on that. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so shortly I'm going to ask Randall and Ryan to come up and do their piece. I think it's important to get, obviously, testimonies from different people in the business. So I'm going to ask Merle here to come up and have a little chat with us, okay?
Thank you, Bill. Welcome everyone, thank you for coming along. Oh, sorry. Thank you for coming along today and thank you for organising the event, Bill. So I just want to spend 5 minutes or so just to explain how I became involved with Utopian Global. I am a stay-at-home mum with 2 young children, and basically my journey started online when I became pregnant with my little girl. And I decided at that point that I didn't want to do what I did when I had my son, which was to actually work for an employer, because I found it really, really restrictive. I couldn't spend enough time with my son, and I thought I need to make a change here. So I started to look for other opportunities. And to be honest, between me and you, I didn't really have a clue how I was going to make this happen, but I knew that people worked from home and they took responsibility for themselves, they were in control of their own money, I just needed to find a way to do that. So I started out by working by myself. I was selling jewellery on eBay, earning a little bit of pocket money. So I knew that I could do it, but I knew that I didn't want to do it through an eBay shop. So I continued to search online, and I'm a great believer in fate. I was on Facebook, and I came across a Utopian Global webinar. And I didn't understand it, to be honest. This was almost 3 years ago. But something captured me, and I continued to watch the webinars and basically to educate myself. And as Bill and the other Bill have mentioned today, I never really questioned what money was. I just thought that I just needed to go to work 9 till 5, put my money in the bank. I didn't understand what money was. I certainly didn't understand what precious metals were, and I didn't even have a clue about assets. I thought that was for the rich and the wealthy and nothing that I could get involved with. But like I say, something on that webinar captured me, and I continued to watch the webinars for a good 3 to 4 months, listening to Bill Rao and Claudia. And over time, I started to understand what we had here, and I decided that I would stop wasting my time looking at the other stuff online, and I wanted to stay with Utopian Global. So I became a member, and I started to earn a passive income. But I then decided that I wanted to take this a step further. I never ever wanted to go and work for anybody else ever again, because I have 2 young children, and I do not want to be in that situation where I'm stressed because I need to go and pick up my children from school, but my boss is not letting me finish work early. I don't want to go to my boss and say, it's the kids' sports day today, and then they say, I'm sorry, Moelle, but I can't let you have the day off. I was like, I don't want this. I want to earn my own money, and more importantly, I want to pass this on to my children. So I stayed with Utopian Global, I educated myself. I'm still doing that today. I work with some fantastic people who are here in the room today: Sean, Zana, John, Karen, Bill. So we all work together, we all have a different skill set, and I've decided to actually build this as a home business. So I share Utopian Global with other people. So we've touched on already how you can earn passively. But Claudia at the end, she will talk about how you can actually build this as a home business. So I urge any of you, if any of you are sitting there thinking, well, I'd like to do this, but I don't have a clue how to, come and speak to me, come and speak to the other leaders, because I had no clue either. So I can honestly say now, like hand on my heart, I've not worked for anybody for 5 years, and I have no intention of working for anybody ever again. Because here with Utopian Global, I can earn passively, so I can have that money coming in as I'm sleeping, but for my day-to-day money, I can build it as a home business, which is what I'm doing, which is why we have these events. And I can also buy silver and gold, as Bill Rao mentioned just recently. I can have this as my, it's like an insurance policy for the future. So for me, Utopian Global has everything under one umbrella. So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of an insight into how I became involved. If you've got any questions at all, then please just come and ask me at the end. But before I hand over to Bill, I just want to give out the first of little presents. Thank you. This is as a thank you for coming along today. So this is our first Utopian Global merchandise, which is a Utopian Global coin. And we've got more merchandise coming, which I think Ryan can touch on in a little bit, if we have time. So, the first one, let's make sure I don't mess this up, is Ian from Get a Coin. And the next one is Michael Henry. and Maureen Brown. There's Maureen. Could be in the spotlight now. There we go, Maureen. Thank you for coming. And last one is for John Ashcroft. There you go, John. Thank you for coming. And we've got more prizes coming at the end, okay? So thank you, and I'll hand you back to Bill.
Thank you very much. Well done. Great. Okay, just one more testimonial, and then I'll take a break, I think, because we're getting into the end of the day sort of thing, and I think I'll probably be overdue. So, John, were you going to come up? Yeah? Because you're quite new to the business, so you've got a different perspective. Perhaps that'd be helpful.
Yeah, not sure how I'm going to handle talking in front of people. I do lots of webinars, that's not normally a problem, so we'll give this a go. Hi guys, my name's John Bone, I come from the south east coast, similar neck of the woods to Morel. I'm going to go back to where it all began really. So I left school at 16 and a half, and I followed my lifelong dream at that point, which was to join the British Army. Joined the British Army 16 and a half years old, and served in the Army for 5 years. When I came out of the Army, I followed the path, right? I got a job, became a white van man, a courier, was driving around the city of London, delivering multi-drop parcels day in and day out, and did that for about 8 or 9 years. And then went into work one morning, I just had my first child, married, had our first son, went into work, and there was no job there anymore. So at that point, my whole world was rocked, you know. My wife was looking after the kids, I had no job, how are we going to pay the bills? Thankfully, I managed to get myself another job, same thing again with another firm, a courier firm, and I proceeded to work with that firm for another 2 or 3 years. But at the same time, I started to look into other options, because I'd seen this work from home industry, I had a few friends doing it, and I decided to look into it. So while I was working in that second firm, I actually started, I actually joined a company called Clean Easy, which is similar to Bill, and I believe similar to a few other folks that we know in the business. But I was committed at that point to finding another way to make a living. I didn't want to put all my time and effort into working for someone else, building someone else's dream, falling into that complete cliche, you know. And so while I was working in that second job, I was building up a customer base in the Clean Easy business in my spare time. So going out 6 o'clock in the morning, coming home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then going back out again, delivering Clean Easy catalogues, which you believe, and I built up a really decent customer base. My son then started primary school, which gave me more time, and then unfortunately the second job, I got made redundant a second time. So at that point, I decided that's it, I'm done with employment. I'm not going to work for anybody else ever again. And I put my heart and soul into building my network marketing business, my Clean Easy business. And just worked really hard while my son was at school. My wife had a really great job. Thankfully, I married smart, so she had a fantastic job, which helped a lot. And I carried on, I was there, I was available to be there for my son, attended all the sports days, and I just fell in love with the industry as a whole, fell in love with the people that we meet, fell in love with, you know, building towards my own dream. This is a lot harder than I thought it'd be actually, just calm myself down. But yeah, so I've been in this industry since 2003. This is when I started this home-based business gig, if you like, and I spent 8 years with that first firm. And then I decided I could see the move going online, and I decided to call it a day and start to proceed working online, because by that time I was making a good income, but I wanted something more. I could see more and more people going online. I started coming online, and then for the next probably 2003, probably right till about 2015, I went through the ups and downs of working online. You know, jumping into the next big thing, the shiny objects, and thinking this is the one, ups and downs, but I proceeded, I carried on, I learned, I always had an open mind and I always worked hard to try and make things work out. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, for whatever reason, the companies don't always survive, which is, you know, what a lot of us have been through. But when I was shown, I obviously met Morel and was shown, back then it was Swiss Gold Global. Personally, I didn't get the crypto world. I didn't understand it. It didn't resonate with me. So, you know, I was in touch with Morel. She was telling me all about it, telling me how well she was doing. But when the change happened and Utopian Global was born and Store came up, and again, Morel was keeping me well informed, and I could understand it. And it took a little bit of time to get my head around, but I could understand it a lot simpler. And I saw a great opportunity to create a pension, a retirement fund for myself, because I haven't had a pension. I shut that down many, many years ago. So as we've gone on to learn more about what Store has to offer, what Utopian Global has to offer, I'm really, really buzzing now. Been sharing it with a lot of folks. 2 of my guys are here today, thanks guys. And yeah, just really buzzing about what this company has to offer for us all. So that's my bit. Do you think that'll do, Bill?
Okay, we'll take a break shortly. I just want to do some housekeeping because I forgot to do it earlier. Okay, so in case you don't know, the toilets are over there. You turn right out of here to the cafe where you can get your coffee. Yeah. And if there's a fire, it's to the left, you can follow me. All right?
As long as I'm faster than you.
So we'll take a break for about 10-15 minutes, yeah, and get coffees, and then we'll resume with Ryan and Randall. Okay?
Oh, we're going to do that. Oh, he's going to right. So you guys can have a bit of a look and feel. This is the room that we've got. People are scattered out now to get coffees and stuff like that. I'm going to try and end this live and then come back with the second live after this specific one. So just to give you guys a bit of an idea, you can see the corporate team is here and everybody else is here. So I'm walking a bit around just to give you a bit of idea. And next up is going to be Ryan and Randall, and then we have Ryan there chatting to John and Morel at the moment, while others is just gone to get a coffee. Thanks for watching this one. Stay tuned for the second half.